All right, we're back for another edition of Recruiter Fuel and Real Talk. This is the entire series we've been in. And I've got Scott back with us for a second time. Scott, welcome back.
Glad to be back.
So, a topic that's timely because it's affecting all recruiters, internal recruiters, external recruiters. And it's these laws that are coming up about not being able to ask for compensation.
Right.
Have you experienced this yet?
Yes, I have. In fact, we just had a project kick off last week with a client where they said only ask what their target salary is, get a range, and if they share the actual amount, do not disclose that to us.
Okay, so this is not a legal discussion. In fact, in a couple of weeks, we'll be having a legal discussion with our attorney who'll be sitting here as well. But this is really more of a philosophical, real world, how does it affect you and I as we recruit, right?
Right.
So the laws are changing almost every day. In fact, I pulled this list about 10 minutes ago, and the states that have, or the cities that have enacted this, they're different.
Yeah.
How do you keep up?
As a recruiter, it's a good question. As a recruiter, the first thing we need to do is what you did, which is stay on top of the list of, is it statewide? Is it within cities within a state? And you need to stay on top of it because it seems like it could be changing daily.
The answer is yes.
Yeah.
So California, all private and public employers.
Right.
Law took effect January of this year. Delaware, all employers across the board. Massachusetts, all employers. New Orleans, only city departments. So if you work for the city, you can't ask. If you work anywhere else, you can. And the list goes on and on and on. Of course, New York City was one of the other big ones.
Right.
But in a couple of states, they've actually banned the ban.
Okay.
So Michigan and Wisconsin have prohibited a ban.
Okay.
And Chicago, specifically, legislature passed it, and the governor said, yeah, it isn't going to happen.
Okay.
Okay, so that's kind of the basis for this.
Yeah.
So this is more of a opinion-based
Right.
dialogue, Scott.
Right.
So unintended consequences. What are the challenges associated with this?
I think back immediately to when I got my start in recruiting, almost close to 20 years now, and doing a lot of contractor.
That's why you're bald and gray.
Exactly.
All right.
Contractor contingent staffing here locally in Michigan for the automotive companies, and I constantly had to discuss compensation with candidates that I was speaking to.
Why?
Part of it was the structure and the nature of what I recruited on, being that it was vendor managed services. You've got what you can pay the client against what you can bill the client, and
all contract stuff.
All that contract stuff. But I would talk to a number of candidates that were some very experienced in their career, but some very early in their career. And one of the things that I've actually enjoyed doing and gotten a chance to do a lot over the last 2 decades is engaging with candidates around compensation to help them make a better decision relative to the role that they're going to take. Give them guidance, give them support, answer questions that they might have. I just had it happen 2 weeks ago on one of my searches where a candidate said, I've not made a move in a long time, so if I'm looking at making a move, what should I be targeting? And I feel almost like I can't have those discussions anymore for fear that it's going to draw some type of penalty or fee.
Well, but what should they be asking for? You've been recruiting for a long time.
Right.
You probably have an idea of what
Right.
they should be asking for. So
Yeah.
the law would state that basically the way I see it is that
Yeah.
you could talk about what they should be asking for. You
Right.
just can't find out what they were asking for.
Right. We're at a point now where you're, instead of asking somebody where they're at, you're asking where they want to be.
What's the negative to that? Is there?
If someone doesn't understand the market well enough, they could price themselves out of a job offer. Would be one thought that I think.
Because I'm asking for 100, but really I'm making 50, and
Yeah.
the job's like 65 or
Yeah,
70.
and you'd like to think that no one would be that bold about it, but I think some people will try to game the system when they realize that how are you going to check? Our employer is going to be able to qualify, where someone currently is.
So that's interesting. So in California, New York specifically,
Right.
we've had many experiences with clients that have asked for previous W-2s, asked for transcripts of their 401k or of
Right.
anything else because that's all part of compensation.
Right.
Now the candidate can say whatever they want?
Essentially, in some of these states, based on the law, they can. They can kind of throw a dart and ask for a number.
Now, the reality of it is the reason that the law was enacted is because of the gender gap that we see.
Absolutely.
So the intent is, I think, right.
Yes.
There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
But we're not dealing with some of the unintended consequences of what's
Right.
going on. I'll give you one example as well that I just became privy to. An organization, not a client, an organization in California has made the policy across the entire organization. The first offer is the lowest dollar amount of the range for that position, bar none.
Yeah.
Why?
I don't know why.
Well, think about it, because they want to protect themselves. They want to come in with the lowest offer, expecting if you're my candidate, Scott, you say, no, I'm already higher than that. You offered me 100, I'm already at 150. You're self-reporting at that point, which you can do.
True.
So they've taken a different stance. Again, is it the right thing to do? That's not the point of the conversation. The point is, how do we react as recruiters? What do we do? And you've experienced some of this.
Yeah, as we said, you have to understand the markets in which you're recruiting in, and in our case, being third party, the markets we recruit in for our clients.
Correct.
Is going to be key. I oftentimes will ask the client for direction there. How do they want those questions asked and answered? I think one thing that we've been asked to do a lot as a company that this law also could potentially impact is compensation analysis. Having an HR group come to us and say, hey, we don't know if we're paying our people enough. Can you, look at the market, look at some of our competitors, and qualify for us if we're competitive on pay?
Can't do that anymore.
Exactly. How do I do that now if all I can ask you is what you want to make in a new role?
Yeah.
I'm not getting to the heart of where they are currently and all of the components of their compensation structure.
Well, it's definitely something that's going to evolve over the next couple of months and into this next year. And as you get more experience with this, as I get more experience with this, I'm going to have you back here.
Okay.
But in a couple of weeks, we'll have an attorney to actually sit down and talk to us about the real legalities of it. And he's going to make some predictions on potentially where this thing is going to go. Because even as a third party, we can't plead ignorance.
Right.
We have to follow the law too. Even if our client doesn't follow the law, we have to follow the law.
Exactly. We'll have to get clarification from our client on what they want to do, and then get it in writing that they've authorized us to do that, because, as you said, we're a third party.
Which still may not work if it's against the law itself.
That is true.
So we have to be privy to the law.
That is true.
So we'll have you back on to talk more about it in a couple of months and see what you're experiencing.
Look forward to it.
Hey guys, this has been another edition of Recruiter Fuel, a hot topic that there'll be more to talk about in the next couple of months. We'll see you next time.